Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is November 4th, and right now we're looking at the infrared satellite imagery. We got Wednesday's system gearing up out across the Pacific Ocean. You got Thursday's system back here right across the Aleutian Islands under development. We got wind, we got waves, we got high tides, we got thunderstorm potential, and we got a lot of precipitation rolling in here as well. So let's just go ahead and dive into all these details. Checking things out right now. You can see our next frontal system that'll be pushing in as we go through tonight. There is some light precipitation occurring. I'll show you some more of that here in a moment. But we've also got some east winds on tap today, especially across the Washington Cascades down towards the North Cascades of Oregon. Some gusty winds, some wind advisories out for that. I'll show you that here more in a moment. And also the big king tides are with us. They're going to be with us through this weekend before finally waning as we go through next week. This is Tillamook Bay, Oregon. This is Quileute River, Washington. Again, same thing up and down the Washington, Oregon, Vancouver Island coastline, and then it finally wanes as we go through next week. So the moon and the sun, their gravitational pull on these tides, and they're pulling in the same direction basically, and we get these big tidal bulges that move across the planet when this happens. You get a full moon, so you know it's lined up pretty well with the sun. If you're at nighttime, you're looking at the moon and you see the entire disk illuminated. So these are spring tides, sometimes called king tides, or popularly known as king tides. So backing that up, you can see where it got some elevated wave action, but it wanes a little bit tonight, but that picks back up pretty quickly here. And as we go through the day on Wednesday, some of the large waves return towards some of the coastal areas. And then on Thursday, probably the worst, because we get some big waves moving there and just coinciding almost perfectly with some of the king tide action, with all the precipitation trying to run off some of the coastal ranges. That water has nowhere to go when the king tides and the big waves back things up. So that could cause some coastal flooding up and down the Washington, Oregon coast. So with the arrival of the first system, Gold Beach could be gusting 70. We got wind advisories out there. Roseburg, Grants Pass, Cave Junction, Medford, Fort Rock, Paisley, Lakeview are under high wind warnings. There's Highway 97 for reference as well. So yeah, we got to watch out here as we go through late tonight and on in through Wednesday. And also going to get gusty through the Willamette Valley. I'll show you some of that here more in a moment. That's going to be on the day Wednesday. Wind advisory is up. This is for gusts to 45, but you could get some local gusts even higher than that for some isolated areas. We got coastal flood watch for the Washington coast. It's going to be kind of similar here for the Oregon coast as well. We take a look at that Wednesday, 10 to 14 foot waves with moderate to major coastal flooding. Thursday, even bigger waves rolling in here, and yeah, numerous roads may be closed. Low-lying property, including homes, businesses, some critical infrastructure may be inundated, or damaged shoreline erosion may occur. So it's no joke for those communities out along the coastal areas. So I'm glad I've been calling attention to this for several days. Hopefully, if you've been watching, you've had the heads up. Now, we've got some precipitation still ongoing right now. This is for western Montana, some of the Idaho Panhandle. You can see it includes I-90 and Highway 2. That should be wrapping up today, but still a few more inches is possible. Now, looking at the northern hemisphere, we got the Pacific Northwest kind of bottom center. There's the Hawaiian Islands. You got Japan way over here. There's Africa. And if we take a closer look there, you can see at 300 millibars, there is our active jet stream that just continues to plague the Pacific Northwest. It's going to be rolling in. Let me back that up. There's Wednesday's system right there. And then there's Thursday's system that rolls through. Tiny bit of a break, but it's not going to last long as another system pushes through. And then we continue to have some troughing along the west coast. Could be targeting anywhere from British Columbia down through California. And the strong jet stream just kind of continues all the way through the extended forecast as we go off in towards mid-November. So yeah, very active November there. But kind of interesting here as I just play this through. You can kind of see the jet stream just spinning there across the mid-latitudes of the northern hemisphere. Now, if we take a look at temperature all the way down towards the surface, you can see similar boundary out there, very cold air across the northern hemisphere and much warmer air across the equatorial regions. And if I put this into motion, you'll see like the kind of flashing the heartbeat there across the land masses. That's a diurnal and the nocturnal cycle, the warming and cooling. And you notice the ocean does not go through that kind of cycle because water holds much more heat, and it's not subject to those huge day changes. So yeah, you can kind of see it out there. I like to play through that every once in a while and kind of look at that. You can kind of see how cool it is across the northern hemisphere versus the equatorial regions. So now taking a look at what is coming here. So this is as we go through the day today. Again, some of that precipitation wrapping up for some of the higher terrain of western Montana, but the next storm system is not far off. It's rolling through here at western Oregon as we go through this afternoon and through tonight, spreading precipitation up across western Washington again. That's about midnight right there. And you can see the unstable air behind the front. We start to scroll off in towards tomorrow morning. Again, another swath of precipitation with some unstable air behind it. Thunderstorm potential on the day Wednesday. Some very gusty winds may be moving across with some of the this convection for mainly the Willamette Valley as we go through the day tomorrow. It could be gusting up over 40 miles per hour with some of that. And you can see the multiple rounds for the coastal areas, and that's just going to continue to move through. Very active weather here over the next few days. And then by Thursday, the next system here is gearing up to make its way into the Pacific Northwest. Now, if we look at 80-meter wind speed, so the east winds are kind of slowly ramping up as we go through the day today. This is about noon. You can see them picking up. Stevens Pass Gap, Stampede Gap, Columbia River Gorge Gap down there as well. Cascadia winds coming out of the east. Some strong gust up over 50 miles per hour potentially. And you can see this offshore flow all the way out towards the coastal regions here as we go through tonight. And the strong winds start to arrive across southern Oregon. You can see it pretty blustery. That's why they had the advisories and the high wind warnings up for tonight into tomorrow. And then we scroll on in through the day Wednesday. Some of these gusty winds, again, with this convection, could be moving across the Willamette Valley. And yeah, we're going to have a few rounds of some really windy conditions. And there goes Thursday's system as that kind of lines up with the king tides as well. So some crazy stuff. I'm probably going to go out tomorrow and maybe spend a couple of days and kind of document what happens with these king tides and the big waves and the potential flooding. So you'll have to watch my live streams on that. Total precipitation in inches, as you can imagine, this has already fallen for a lot of the area, by the way. This was last night's European. But if we go on in through the next couple of days, you can see all this precipitation coming up across the region. By the time we go to Thursday morning, we're at about an inch for Seattle, more for Portland, more for the coastal areas. You see the rain shadowing just to the north and east of the Olympic Mountains. We scroll on in towards Thursday, and then Friday, look at that, Seattle up over 2 inches. Rain shadowing here east of the mountains, but some areas still picking up some decent amount, especially across some of the higher terrain. And we scroll a little bit further off into the 6-day period. A little bit of a break there before we start to get additional systems probably as we go through next week. Now, extended forecast. This is the European Artificial Intelligence. This is basically Wednesday's system here. And then you can see that swing through. There's Thursday's system pushing on through the region as well. And then we get a little bit of a break. Doesn't last long, though. And you can see that low guy and it get cut off. But then additional systems pushing towards the west coast of North America. Some of that activity may be moving down towards California. Then additional systems as we continue on. Just never-ending November fun here for much of the west coast. Check out the Patreon page. You can send me images if you like here as well. I mean, look at this one. Sunset, lenticular cloud, Bend, Oregon a few days ago. So pretty nice to see that stuff. And you can send me hyperlinks for, shore acres, wave action, whatever you want to do, wherever you are, whatever you're experiencing. Sometimes just pictures of the sky are fun to get. And the experimental product continues to show this active November. There's rain, some snow, and some risk of high winds just all the way on in through mid-November. Here's the 6 to 10 day. The temperature thing doesn't mean much, but you can see the above average here for much of the west coast. Check out the weather station. Tempest is the one I recommend. The most affordable, good option. No maintenance, no moving parts, solar powered, easy to set up. Click on the link to save 10% down below. So anyway, yeah, I may go out tomorrow. If I do, I'll be live streaming at times. So I may miss a briefing on maybe Wednesday or Thursday, but I will be live streaming and we can talk about some stuff. You can ask some questions and you guys can travel along with me and see what we experience out there. So anyway, hopefully you guys are having a good day and I'll talk to you guys later.